Hello everybody, Dokkan Assets here. Today we are back with another figure unboxing video. And last week we went from a very tall boy in the perfect cell, and this week we are unboxing a very small boy in the Versus Omnibus Super Cell Junior. These guys are a pretty fun addition to this set. Obviously, Cell Junior certainly does not get a figure very often, so it is pretty cool to actually see this guy get a little figure here. Now, there is some interesting things about this figure, despite it being so small. For one, this sort of trend of doing these smaller figures like this started with the Saiyan Saga Cybermen, right? And those looked pretty good, and honestly, your boy probably would have copped one of those if they weren't $36 for how small this is. It's the same size. Look at how I'm holding the box, right? This guy, thankfully, though, was not. I think they realized when nobody bought the figure overseas for $36, hey, we need to lower the price of this guy because it's honestly kind of ridiculous that he's so expensive for how small he is, right? Man can fit in the palm of your hand straight up. And you can get some really nice figures for basically 36 bucks, right? So, with this guy, they did lower the price. Now, I don't think that they lowered it enough. He was $22, I believe, was the MSRP price for him. And for a figure this small, still not really worth it in my opinion. However, it is most certainly better than $36. And not only that, we obviously don't get, you know, Cell Junior figures quite literally ever. So I figured I would still get it just for the one time. I'm only going to get one. Obviously, if you really wanted the whole set, I guess, you would want to get 5 of these bad boys, right? Because obviously that's how many there are. Can you imagine how expensive that would be, by the way, in Cybermen prices? 36 bucks for a figure this size for 5 of those bad boys? Ooh, boy. That's kind of a yikes, bro. So, I did only get one. I just wanted one to have on the shelf, basically just to stand next to the perfect Cell figure from this set, which we will be comparing these guys today, too. Here is the, here's the stand for your boy right here. So, yeah, I don't know. Again, even though the figure is obviously nicely sculpted, I just don't think it's worth the $22. If you're a Cell Junior fanboy, I don't know if that exists, then maybe it's worth it for you. Interesting, by the way, that they didn't wrap the wings here. They just kept them literally just out, basically. Interesting. Okay. Also, they did indent them a little bit more. I was talking about how on the perfect Cell figure, they didn't, like, indent his wings and they're flat, but they do have a little bit of an indent there. Very interesting. Alright, so let's go ahead and get his foot thing on. I'm assuming it is probably this one, because that looks like it fits a little bit more. But yeah, I don't know. I just wanted one of these guys just because I thought it would be cool. And obviously, we quite literally never get Cell Junior figures, so it's nice to have just one. Let's go ahead and pull the wrap off on the head. And there is the boy. Honestly, that looks pretty good. I quite like that. I quite like that a lot, actually. I think he looks good. He looks very cheeky, which is, of course, perfect for the Cell Juniors. Now, the interesting thing about this guy as well, too, is that the sort of gimmick that I guess they did with these minifigures to maybe try and justify the price a little bit more is that they made them articulated. Are you ready for this? Whoa! I don't know if I would really call that articulated. I mean, maybe by a technicality, right? Like, that is certainly articulated technically. I don't really think you would ever use the articulation, to be frank with you. I mean, it's cool that it's there. I guess it's a nice feature, right? You can get a little bit of different posing options, right? Like this. Or you can hit him with one of these, right? You can hit him with the the Mamma Mia, what's going on here, right? You can do a couple of little things, I suppose, right? He's doing the Pharaoh dance or the walk like an Egyptian, you know? So, I don't know. It's just kind of interesting that they decided, of all figures to include articulation on when it comes to Ichiban Kuji prize figures, they choose these small ones. Again, I assume that's basically just to justify the price, but overall, the figure doesn't look bad, right? Like, I honestly think this figure is, funny enough, one of the best looking Ichiban Kuji figures that I've seen in a while. I mean, Cell obviously looked really good himself, but this figure looks good. I honestly don't really have any complaints. I think the only thing maybe that I could say, and this is really more of a nitpick, is that I did see the pictures for this guy before I bought him, and I do think that the little head spike should be just a smidge bigger. I think in the original material they were a tiny bit bigger. I know a lot of material kind of shortens them down and makes them a little bit more stubby, but I think they were a little bit bigger in the original. Again, super huge nitpick, especially for a figure this small, and I mean in Ichiban Kuji terms, I suppose this cheap, right? Overall, good figure. Let's do some size comparisons. Also, I completely forgot to note that the hands also have articulation. I don't know how I missed that considering it's literally on the box, but there you go. You can also rotate the hands with the arms. Alright, so obviously since this guy is so tiny, my man is going to get creamed in the size comparison. This should honestly be a telling fact about this figure, is that quite literally, I know Cell Jr. is leaning over a little bit. He's not straight up and down. But the Blue Goku WCF figure that is advertised as a minifigure line is bigger than this guy. He has a little bit of hideout on him. Obviously, Cell is bulkier and he's a different scale, right? But that is kind of funny, to be honest with you. Very interesting. Let's see, what does he actually stand at in terms of inches here? I can't be more than like... Yeah, that looks like about 4. On camera, it looks like 4.5. Yeah, no, maybe it's more like 4.5. Maybe like 4.25. Yeah, not that big. Definitely not that big, right? Doesn't even come close to your boy Cell. Alright, so speaking of which, I'll give you 2 quick size comparisons. Obviously, since this is such a small figure, and this is going to be a shorter video, I'm not going to go crazy with the size comparisons, but just for literally 2 seconds to be on the screen, just to show you how small this guy really is, here is the Ichiban Kuji Saiyan Saga Gohan. Obviously, Cell is smaller than him. Gohan's a little bit more bulky, but that should give you a pretty decent idea of the size. As well, by the way, Bandai, I just want to take note, Gohan's stand is this stupid black bar, and you bothered to make a clear stand for Cell Jr. What are you doing, guys? Give him a clear stand. Anyway, moving on. I figured we should probably show a little bit of the boy Gohan. These figures are going to tower over the Cell Jr., of course. But I'll give you a couple of little pictures with them. Obviously, Gohan did take out the Cell Jr., so of course I wanted to give a couple of pictures with them two next to each other because, you know, I mean, he is the main enemy. I do think that the Cell Jr., by the way, is not big enough in scale in terms of the Grandista Gohan. Obviously, it's not really meant to scale with him. It's not the worst. I mean, they are tiny little gremlins, basically, right? But definitely could be a little bit bigger in terms of scaling with Gohan specifically, right? But again, not from the same line, so of course they're not going to scale. Speaking of which, this will be the real test. And he's probably not going to fit on the camera, so you're just going to have to trust me from the photos. But here, here is the Ichiban Kuji Cell. Oh man, this is pretty funny. So as you can see, obviously Cell towers over his son. He definitely did not get Cell's genes in the height department when he spit them out of his weird tail thingy. These guys do look pretty good together. Like, sculpt-wise, they are extremely similar. Like, I think, you know, if you're looking at these two, you can tell that they're from the same set, same sculptor type of dealio, right? But it is just comical how small the Cell Jr. is next to the boy Cell. I don't even think that, again, it's like, it's not a bad figure. I think just even in terms of scale with Cell, which you would think he would be scaled with him because of course they're from the same set, he's still way too small, right? And I understand they're making the small figure, they can make it less expensive, yada yada yada, but like, you could have made him a little bigger. I think he's at least up to like Cell's like upper thigh maybe in the anime. I'd have to kind of take a look at some screenshots from the anime. But I definitely don't think he's that small, right? Especially in terms of the actual scale, like the, you know, width, consistency, whatever you want to call it, the volume of his body and his muscles, I don't think is the proper, you know, comparison next to Cell. But hope you guys enjoyed this video nonetheless. Obviously, this is a little bit of a shorter one, but of course the figure is quite literally short, so of course it is not going to be as much. But I hope you guys enjoyed nonetheless. Of course, if you enjoyed, definitely don't forget to like and subscribe. And if you would like to see me open up more goofy figures like this, you can support me over on the Patreon. Though, of course, do not feel obligated. You watching the video is what's most important to me. And if you would like to pick this guy up, I will leave some links in the description to do so. Do I think that this guy is worth $36 like the Cyberman was of the same size? Absolutely not. Do I think that this guy is worth the $22 that I paid for him? Absolutely not. But I've collect figures and I just throw money at Bandai. So I don't really mind. And honestly, like, I personally think I got my $22 worth. So if you think you would feel that way about this figure, then absolutely go ahead. But I think for a general audience, this is definitely one that you can skip for your collection. But thank you guys so much for watching. I will catch you in the next one. Dokkan Assets out. Peace.